Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Wednesday, it's August 30th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And this was just really a continuation of the trend from yesterday. Early on, it was really hard to kind of get a feel for this because a lot of times what will happen on a move down like this is it will rally back about halfway and then it'll start down again. So at this point, you could have got another leg down. You could have just come up and tested the highs here and ended up with a range day, or you could have got a continuation, which it turns out we got a continuation. It was just really odd the way it took off here. I mean, just as you think it's maybe headed lower, it bounces and goes higher here. And there's really a little bit of support across there. And you see when we didn't get back there, it bounced off. Of course, you wouldn't have that trend line there. What I did, even this channel is kind of squirrely because the way I found this was I drew it off these highs first, and you can see how that fits right along through there, um, at least till here. It looked like then maybe it was going to be an overshoot, and once I got it there, I just copied and drug it down. And so you could have had this here before that bounce, and when it bounced right off of it before coming back to this support area, well, that's a good sign that, hey, maybe we're going higher from here. But when we pushed, look, you see how we got a little resistance there perfectly, and then it pushed on through, and then it kind of went sideways, and then it just took off again. So it was really kind of an odd deal. But if you looked for your equal distance up here, that's exactly where it turned down. So this is actually just a little bit higher here. I don't quite have it in the right spot. Right in there. And notice how I gapped over it right there. So that's a sign that that line's in the right, that midline's in the right spot there. So the shorter term stuff was not that hard to find. Uh, Notice that we had this little spike in channel here, and then we're just kind of going sideways, and then we had another. So those are fairly easy to find, but if you had a hard time finding this bigger channel here, then don't beat yourself up because it wasn't easy to find. You need to have some experience at this to find that. And it would have given you this bounce here, and then you would have been able to find it up here. And even then, you really may not have been able to find this because earlier I had this a little bit higher here, and it turns out the equal distance is a little bit different spot. So if you had a hard time finding the big channel, but you really didn't necessarily need it, it wasn't that hard to find this line here, the trend line, because I showed you how I got it right off those highs. So it would have helped you maybe find this bounce, but even then I wasn't crazy about taking it. But it really wouldn't help you other than maybe find a target up here. But this all played out. You got a channel working up, you get a break, move to a new high. Actually, you get two legs to a new high, and it reverses. So you really didn't need the bigger channel, to be honest. So if you had a hard time finding it, it was hard to find. So, but anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up. And you had to be patient again this morning. There's a setup right here, nice bearish bar right off the trend line, but you're going short right into that 3-bar matching low. The other low is not very far away. It's questionable. I didn't measure it exactly to see if there was enough room. So you might have considered it. It turns out to work great, but there's enough reasons to say we're not right at the EMA. It is right off the trend line though, and that makes it that's a key entry point. So that makes it somewhat, I could see you wanting to enter there, and I wanted to enter there, to be honest, but I think you're better off to skip that. So anyway, it drops down, makes a new low, and then you get a pullback first entry, pullback second entry. Not a perfect bar, but it's bearish enough. I like going short there. We're probably going to make a new low. We didn't quite make one. We just really made a double bottom there, but you get a nice reversal bar. And it's tempting to go long there, but we're not quite far enough away from the EMA. If you were really brave and took that, which I think you would be wrong to take that because many times that will fail. It wouldn't be a consistent entry. You need a higher low, and you don't get that till way up here above the EMA. But if you caught that, look at that. It's the low of the day basically. So it would be nice to have a little better setup there, but it's just not a very good one. You might treat that. You really couldn't even notice that there's a new low and then first entry, second entry. It was enough for a scalp, and it didn't quite make a new low, so you couldn't really treat it as the pattern it fulfilled on the way down yet. So I think you just have to skip that, wait for your reversal pattern. Notice what happens here. You bounce, you get a first entry, you move up, you get a second entry, bounces right off the EMA, and you really got some support there, a little drop and a nice little bullish bar. I like that one. Runs up. It's a quick, easy scalp. You don't get much more than that out of it. And if you went short here, that one's okay too, because notice that you got the little spike in channel and you get a break and a move to a new high, and you try to go higher twice and it actually turns up and goes down. So if you shorted that, I'm okay with that one. I didn't mark it, but we're not real far away from the EMA, but there's enough. There's a trap there. There's a failed second entry. The shorter term patterns played out. I just wasn't sure what was really going on here. So I was a little leery. Whenever you're not sure what's going on with the price action, your best bet is just to sit tight. And I wasn't 100% sure, even though that meets all our criteria. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it as red. But I wasn't 100% sure what was going on here, because I wasn't sure if we were going to try to make another leg down. So I figured you're better off to wait on the lower high, which never comes here. So if you didn't enter here, you don't get a short here. You get a bounce, and you could treat this like a failed second entry short. Plus, if you found the trend line like I originally showed you by getting the line off these highs, then you would have been expecting that. The only problem is it's such a huge bar that you got to go long right into the highs, and it's just a huge, huge bar. And so that's a concern for sure. And you can see that that bar has exactly 8 ticks, so you got to break the 8 tick rule to put your stop below it. So there's some reasons to skip that one. But anyway, it runs up, nice run up, and then you pull back, and then you get a little double test of that. And so I like going long there. Plus you pushed a little higher there, so it makes you believe that, hey, we may push on higher, and maybe this is a midline here and we're going to go higher. It's an easy scalp, but that's all you get. But this is almost a little bit of a repeat pattern. But anyway, you get this new low here, and then a first entry, second entry short, and it's right off the EMA again. It's not a very good signal bar, but on a trap you really don't have to. And it did push out, so it's like a breakout pullback as well. And there's really 2 hidden legs in there, so I like that one. This one's real close. It could be green. You're better off to wait up here and see if you get a little breakout pullback long, and you do, but you don't get a very good signal bar, so you can't go long there. So if you didn't enter here, you missed this whole move, because it never gives you that true reversal. This actually, I take that back. You really could treat this like one move and then a first entry and a second entry. So, but you're going long at a double top almost into the high of the day, into the high of the overnight. So I don't think you can enter there. I'm not even going to give it a green. And so I was really wanting to treat this like a double bottom and hoping we get another true failed second entry short, but we never get it. You do get a lower high right here, but again, we've moved so far away from the EMA, I just don't feel comfortable with it. And then notice what happens. This is almost a perfect repeat pattern. We get that low, and then we test it once, twice. So I like going long there, and it's a second entry, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So it's really kind of a repeat pattern here. After you get a move up, you go sideways. You get a move up, you go sideways, the double test. And it is a second entry on top of that. Notice the high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It didn't make a lower low, but it makes a lower high, so it's still a second entry. And you get another little lower high here, but it's a perfect doji. It's only 2 bars, so, but it's getting to the high, and now we've had a measured move up on a channel, so I just don't think you can afford to enter there. You know, you might make it green. I think it would have worked. It gets that one tick. If you had enough room, the key to this one is if you had enough room to get out before the high, because it does. It makes one tick higher, but if there's not enough room in there, you still had a failure and you got stopped out. And it never went back any higher. But that's the problem. The real problem here is that after this move and up, of course, you still don't have your second leg up yet, but notice you get your close outside, one leg up to a new high, and then pull back second leg up to a new high. So now you got your 2 legs up, so you definitely better make sure you got to set up before you go long again. And as tempting as it was here to treat that like a failed break lower, you've got your close outside 2 legs to a new high, and you don't have a very good signal bar. So you really can't go long there. You get a nice signal bar here, but now you're making lower highs and lower lows, and you're not back to what we consider the trend line yet. So I don't think I'd be entering. Well, it's after 2 o'clock anyway. That was the main reason I didn't mark that one. But it wouldn't have worked, and you'd have got trapped there, and you'd have got stopped out. But so you really had to pay attention to the shorter term stuff today. And if you didn't, you might have had some troubles with this, because this was not an easy channel to find. This bigger channel was not an easy one to find. So you really need to have some experience with trend lines and doing this to find that one. So, but anytime you can't find your line off one side, try to find it off the other. And that's how I started this off. Again, I drew it right off these highs, just like so, and then I just copied it. And that was actually, let me show you, that was actually before that new high got in there. So if you're looking at it like this, you draw it off those highs, you drag it down, and when this comes back to right there and then bounces straight off of it, you see how that works. And that's how you find that. And then watch what happens. You push up, and it looks like it's going to turn down right off of it, so you're seeing these lines are valid, and then it pushes on through. And now you got to wonder, is that an overshoot, or is this maybe a midline? And it turns out it just keeps going higher, and it overshoots it again. And that's when you figure out that, hey, let's take our line, move it up to the highs, find your equal distance. And actually your equal distance from where I originally had this was a little bit higher. But when it turned down twice there, you know, I'll move my line down and say, hey, let's just play with this a little bit. And you see that little gap over, and you realize that, hey, the midline just a little bit lower here. And you can see it fits. We're bouncing off both sides of it. We skipped right over it right there. So that's how I found that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. And remember, we're going into the Labor Day holiday, so Monday will probably be a holiday. I haven't looked at the schedule yet. Well, in fact, I know Monday will be the holiday. I'm not going to trade, and I'll probably take Friday off. I'll definitely leave early Friday, and I may take Friday completely off. So, but definitely no mid-morning chart or chart lesson on Monday for sure, and no chart lesson on Friday. Maybe a mid-morning report on Friday, but no chart lesson. So, but I'm out of here for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.